Hello and thank you for tuning in to the Black Cat Bushcraft channel. Today I wanted to have a discussion on what you can expect if you decide to take the basic survival class at the Pathfinder School in Jackson, Ohio. I also want to give you a few tips that if you should or when you decide to take that class will help you to have a better experience. The basic survival class at the Pathfinder School is structured around the concept of preparing you for any 72-hour scenario where you're lost or where you're injured and you're in a woodland environment and unable to get out. This also kind of depends on the concept that you've left a game plan with someone back at home who has an idea of the general area that you'll be operating in, and when you don't come back home, obviously they're going to send help to come looking for you. The basic survival course is structured to teach you all the skills that you'll need to maintain your body's core temperature, such as construction of a shelter, being able to build fire with materials that you gather off the landscape, keep yourself hydrated, and just generally take care of your basic needs over the course of that 72-hour scenario until help should come. The first tip I'll give you is if you're considering taking this class with the Pathfinder School, go to selfrelianceoutfitters.com and check out the course description for the basic class. There's a lot of really good information and cues there as to what to expect if you actually take the class. So read that information carefully. While you're there, check out the equipment list of the items that you'll actually need. And again, this will give you a lot more information and better understanding of exactly what to expect when you come to the class. Once you decide to take the basic survival class, it's important to understand that in a real scenario, you're going to be stressed in a lot of different ways. Things such as sleep deprivation can greatly affect your mental clarity and your ability to perform physically, to do the task necessary to maintain your body's core temperature, such as construction of a shelter or building a fire. Also, things like mild dehydration or lack of calories, again, greatly affect your mood, affect your attitude, and affect your ability to make decisions quick when needed, and also, again, your physical ability, being tired and fatigued and sore. All of these things, again, affect you in a real survival scenario. Therefore, it is very important when you come to train with us that we do try to induce some stressors on you so that you better understand how you're going to react and how you're going to handle that stress while you're under pressure, but yet in a controlled and supervised and safe environment for this type of training. It makes it just a little more realistic and gives you a better skill set after the class. Sometimes the title Basic Survival makes it sound like the class will be easy, and the class really is anything but easy. Think of it in terms of military training, basic training. Most people don't associate basic training in the military with being easy, but it is the base training in which all other advanced skills are built upon. And it's the same thing at the Pathfinder School. Keep in mind that the basic class is far from easy, but it is the base of skills that you'll build everything else on as you advance as a woodsman, or if you decide to take more advanced level survival classes at the Pathfinder School. All of those classes will depend on you mastering the skills in the basic class, such as how to make fire, how to provide for yourself a basic shelter, how to disinfect water. These are the core skills required to maintain your body's core temperature and to survive in the short and in the long term in the wilderness. So again, basic is not easy. It is the base of your training in which all other skills will be built in the future. I will tell you right up front that the number one contributing factor to people tapping out of the basic class is just their overall physical fitness. When you come to the school, you need to be prepared to go on hikes of up to 5K at a time, and understand that when you go on these hikes, you'll always be carrying your survival kit, your backpack, your 10Cs with you wherever you go. You'll also have to harvest materials off the landscape for fire building, such as tinder, kindling, and fuel, and carry those materials with you, and any other materials that you're assigned to pick up for other projects that we may complete back at camp. If you're not currently physically training yourself, it's important well in advance of class to start working on that. Work on those hikes, be able to go on those 5K hikes, and make sure that you practice carrying your gear so that you're used to that strain. Because you will do a lot of walking, and the terrain at the Pathfinder School is not the easiest. There's a lot of hills, and you're going through the woods and things like that, so it is a challenging terrain. So again, make sure that you're physically preparing well in advance of the class so that your body is capable and used to handling this type of stress. Speaking about gear, make sure that you carefully examine that gear list on the website, because you really don't need anything in addition to that. the things that are included on that list are the items that you'll actually use. It's amazing sometimes to me on day one when people show up at the school how much stuff they're carrying with them. People show up with axes and just all kinds of items that are not on the list. And they normally end up carrying those items around for periods of time, burning up calories that they don't need to expend, or they end up putting those kit items back in the car, which in that case is just useless anyway. So study the equipment list on selfrelianceoutfitters.com and just pack according. Pack everything that's on that list because you'll need it, but don't pack anything that's not, because it'll just be, again, a burden to you. Occasionally, I'll hear rumors online of people saying that you're going to go hungry at the Pathfinder School or that you're going to get dehydrated. And that's a very distinct possibility, but if that happens, it's really because you choose to or because you neglect to hydrate and fuel your body. Because in the basic class, no one is required to be without water. In fact, we have jugs of water at camp at all times that we keep full, and you just keep refilling your bottle and you can hydrate as often and as much as you want. So you'll never be dehydrated because we induce that on you. It might be because you get busy or get stressed and forget to drink. And we try to remind our students often, hydrate, hydrate, but sometimes people just forget to or neglect to do it. Number two, eating. There's not a whole lot of time during the class where we're gonna say, okay, sit down and have a meal. You're not going to get the opportunity to do a lot of camp cooking. It's amazing, again, to me, people show up sometimes with like raw meat and things like that, and they're expecting to get to cook on the campfire. We try to maximize the time that you're at the school for training purposes rather than, hanging around the fire and doing a lot of, involved camp cooking. So I recommend to people to bring Cliff Bars, protein bars, things that you can eat on the go, things that you can walk a trail and just feed yourself. Trail mix is great. Again, Cliff Bars, protein bars, quick meals. MREs are great because you can eat them cold. You don't have to stop and make a fire and heat it up, because I'll promise you there'll be very few opportunities where you'll actually get the chance to heat up and boil water. Maybe early in the morning, if you get up before class starts, you may could do that. Or at night, once we dismiss the class, you may get a chance to do that. But in all honesty, you're usually so tired from the training day that that's the last thing you want to mess with. So again, bring foods that you can open and eat just from your hand while you're walking on the trail, and you'll be a lot happier that you did that. If I could offer one thing that I think makes the largest difference as to whether a student would pass or fail at the Pathfinder School, it's coming into the class with the proper mindset. If you come into the class accepting that you're probably going to be uncomfortable somewhere along the way, that you're probably not going to get enough sleep, and most likely not going to be eating the foods that you're used to or comfortable eating. If you come into it with the mindset that you're going to be stressed, you're going to be overworked, you're going to be tired, you're going to get frustrated. As long as you have accepted that ahead of time, then you're bound to succeed. If you come into it with the mindset that no matter how bad this stinks for the next 72 hours, I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to tap out unless I get injured or sick, which are two things that we can't control. So if that happens, then we have to accept that. But shy of those things, if you have made up your mind that you're going to endure whatever you have to endure to get out, then you have the survival mindset, and again, you're bound to succeed. In real life, in a scenario, you don't have the option of tapping out. So if you take on that mindset when you come to class, again, you're bound to succeed and do well in the class. Keep in mind that realistic survival training doesn't take place after a full 8 hours of good sleep in your warm bed at home, and then get up, have a big breakfast, head out to the woods. That's not really survival training. That's recreating, and that's what I enjoy doing, obviously. That's what we all want to do. That's why we get into this whole skill set anyway, because we want to be better woodsmen and be able to make ourselves comfortable and thrive in the woods. But you need to know where your skill set is, not only when you're well rested and well fed, but when you're hungry, when you're tired, when you're stressed. That's why we train the way we train at the Pathfinder School. Know ahead of time that when you come to class, we as instructors are going to try to push you a little bit as you're training, but also know that we're going to be there with you every single step of the way, and that we're going to be pulling for you, and we want nothing more than for you to succeed. Keep in mind too that as instructors, we have been through every bit of training that we put you through. We never ask you to do anything that we ourselves haven't done or aren't willing to do. And again, as long as you don't give up, we won't give up on you. That's really our instructor motto at the Pathfinder School. If you won't give up, we don't give up, and we will continue to help you until you get that skill, as long as you're trying we're there with you and support you, and we want to see you succeed. Again, that's our goal and our passion and what we're there to help you do. Just to give you a couple of tips that may help you succeed a little better when you come to class. And these things are by no means mandatory, but again, it may just give you a little edge when you're actually there. Number one, if you know how to strike a ferro rod with the back of your knife before you come to class, that will be a plus. I've seen many times people come to the school to take class with a brand new ferro rod, and I ask them, have you used this before? No. Have you ever used a ferro rod before? No. And that is a little bit of a learning curve for them. Not that they can't learn it at the school, we're happy to teach those skills, but if you know it ahead of time, it kind of gives you a little edge. So if you can practice striking a ferro rod with the back of your knife, you'll be ahead. Number two, some basic knot tying skills. There's basically 5 knots that we use over and over in this class. The 5 knots are a bowline knot, a trucker's hitch, a prusik knot, a lark's head knot, and a fisherman's knot. These are easy to look up. They're very simple knots, and if you know these ahead of time, it'll be that much easier for you. We will go over these knots again and again to help you learn them, and if you do not study them ahead of time, you will know them by the end of the class, but just seeing them ahead of time or being familiar with them might make it easier to learn while you're there. There's a lot of resources on YouTube where you can pick up on these knots and some of these basic skills. You can always look at the Pathfinder School Instructors page, Sean Kelly at Corporals Corner, Joshua Ingyar at the Gray-Bearded Green Beret, Dan Wowak with Coalcracker Bushcraft, and of course David Canterbury. His self-titled channel is the main channel for the Pathfinder School. So any of these channels can be good resources for you. The third and final thing I recommend is that you familiarize yourself with the basic functions of your compass before you come to class. Now, if you show up to class with the compass in the package and never looked at it before, we'll help you understand how to do that, and you'll understand it before you leave. But at the same time, if you come and you already know how to dial in an azimuth and shoot that azimuth out into the field, you'll already be that much more ahead of the game, and it'll make it that much faster for you to pick up on the navigation techniques that we're showing you in the class. It'll also probably reduce your stress by just at least a little bit that you already know these things, or at least familiar with these things ahead of time. Alright, so I hope that this video has been helpful in answering some of the questions that you may have if you're considering taking the basic class with the Pathfinder School. And if I didn't answer your question or touch on a topic that's important to you, feel free to comment down below with any questions that you have, or reach out to me personally, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And if I don't know the answer, I'll be happy to get the answer for you. You can always reach out to Self-Reliance Outfitters as well. Jamie Burley is there at the store, and I'm sure that the staff can answer most of the questions that you might have. So I hope that you will consider coming out and training with us at the Pathfinder School. Our next basic survival class will be held in March of 2019. I'm sure that slots are already starting to fill up for that class, so go over to selfrelianceoutfitters.com and go ahead and get yourself registered. If I'm not mistaken, we have class all the way out through October, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of options there. Get yourself registered for the class that works for you, and we'd be honored to meet you and to have you come out and train with us. And we'd be happy to help you continue to develop your skill sets as a woodsman and just become better prepared should you ever find yourself in a survival scenario. I want to thank you for your time and interest. I appreciate your support, and I'll definitely be back with another video again as soon as possible. And until the next one, take care and God bless.